Hello everyone. We the students in semester 8 from School of Liberal Studies Pandit Dindayal Energy University are reading the play Arms and the Man by George Bernard Shaw. Under the guidance of Dr. Urmi Satyan ma'am, we are exploring new and innovative teaching methods in our class of History of English Literature. We are also thankful to our dear director Professor Nigam Dave sir who promotes new teaching methods and learning as well. The play has 9 characters wherein the narrator is read by Bhakti, Raina by Naisargi, Bluntschli by Ruchi, Sergius by Maya, Catherine by Akanksha, Louka by Jui, Petkoff by Punya, Nicola by Niharika, and police officer is played by Pratinav. Hope you all will enjoy our reading. Thank you.
Ninth, a lady's bedchamber in Bulgaria, small town. It is late in November in the year 1885, and through an open window with a little balcony can be seen a wonderfully white and beautiful in the starlit snow. The interior of the room is not like anything to be seen in the east of Europe. It is half rich Bulgarian, half cheap Viennese. The counterpane and hangings of the bed, the window curtains, the little carpet, and all the ornamental textile fabrics in the room are oriental and gorgeous. The paper on the walls is occidental and paltry. Above the head of the bed, which stands against a little wall cutting off the right and corner of the room diagonally, is a painted wooden shrine, blue and gold, with an ivory image of Christ and a light hanging before it in a pierced metal ball suspended by 3 chains. On the left, further forward, is an ottoman. The washstand against the wall on the left consists of an enameled iron basin with a pail beneath it in a painted metal frame and a single towel on the rail at the side. A chair near it is Austrian bent wood with cane seat. The dressing table between the bed and the window is an ordinary pine table covered with a cloth of many colors, but with an expensive toilet mirror on it. The door is on the right, and there is a chest of drawers between the door and the bed. Chest of drawers is also covered by a variegated native cloth, and on it there is a pile of papers, backed novels, a box of chocolate, and a miniature easel, on which is a large photograph of an extremely handsome officer, whose lofty bearing and glance can be felt even candle and another on the dressing table with a box of matches beside it. The window is hinged doorwise and stands wide open, folding back to the left. Outside, a pair of wooden shutters opening outward also stand open. On the balcony, a young lady, intensely conscious of the romantic beauty of the night and of the fact that her own youth and beauty is a part of it, is on the balcony gazing at the snowy Balkans. She is covered by a long mantle of furs, worth, on a moderate estimate, about 3 times the furniture of her room. Her reverie is interrupted by her mother, Catherine Petkoff, a woman over 40, imperiously energetic, with magnificent black hair and eyes, who might be a very splendid specimen of the wife of a mountain farmer, but is determined to be a Viennese lady, and to that end wears a fashionable tea gown on all occasions. Catherine, entering hastily full of good news.
Raina, Raina,
She pronounces it Raina with
why,
she
where?
goes she goes to the bed expecting to find Raina there. Raina looks into the room.
Heavens, child, are you out in the night air instead of your bed? You'll catch your death. Louka told me you were asleep.
Raina coming in.
I sent her away. I wanted to be alone. The stars are so beautiful. What is the matter?
Such news. There's been a battle.
Ah,
Raina, her eyes dilating.
ah,
She throws the cloak on the ottoman and comes eagerly to Catherine in her nightgown, a pretty garment, but evidently the only one she has on.
A great battle in Slivnitsa. A victory, and it was won by Sergius.
Oh,
Raina,
oh,
with a cry
mother.
of delight,
Sorry. Yeah.
rapturously.
Oh, mother.
Then,
Is father safe?
sudden insight.
Of course, he sent me the news. Sergius is the hero of the hour, the idol of the regiment.
Tell me, how was it?
Uh, is it
Oh,
that
mother.
Rena pulls her mother down on the ottoman and they kiss one another frantically. Catherine, with surging enthusiasm.
You can't guess how splendid it is. A cavalry charge. Think of that. He defied our Russian commanders, acted without orders, led a charge on his own responsibility, headed it himself, was the first man to sweep through their guns. Can't you see it, Raina? Our gallant, splendid Bulgarians with their swords and eyes flashing, thundering down like an avalanche and scattering the wretched Servian dandies like chaff. And you kept Sergius waiting a year before you would be betrothed to him. Or if you have a drop of Bulgarian blood in your veins, you will worship him when he comes back.
What will he care for my poor little worship after the acclamations of a whole army of heroes? But no matter, I am so happy, so proud.
She rises and walks about excitedly.
It proves that all our ideas were real after all.
Catherine, indignantly.
Are ideas real? What do you mean?
Our ideas of what Sergius would do, our patriotism, our heroic ideals. Oh, what faithless little creatures girls are. I sometimes used to doubt whether they were anything but dreams. When I buckled on Sergius's sword, he looked so noble. It was treason to think of disillusion or humiliation or failure. And yet,
Quickly.
promise me you'll never tell him.
Don't ask me for promises until I know what I am promising.
Well, it came into my head just as he was holding me in his arms and looking into my eyes. That perhaps we only had our heroic ideas because we were so fond of reading Byron and Pushkin, and because we were so delighted with the opera that season at Bucharest. Real life is so seldom like that. Indeed, never, as far as I knew it then.
Remorsefully.
Only think, mother, I doubted him. I wondered whether all his heroic qualities and his soldiership might not prove mere imagination when he went into a real battle. I had an uneasy fear that he might cut a poor figure there beside all those clever Russian officers.
A poor figure? Shame on you. The Serbians have Austrian officers who are just as clever as our Russians, but we have beaten them in every battle for all that.
Rena, laughing and sitting down again.
Yes, I was only a prosaic little coward. Oh, to think that it was all true, that Sergius is just as splendid and noble as he looks, that the world is really a glorious world for women who can see its glory and men who can act its romance. What happiness! What unspeakable fulfillment! Ah,
She throws herself on her knees beside her mother and flings her arms passionately round her. They are interrupted by the entry of Louka, proud girl in a pretty Bulgarian peasant's dress with double apron. So defiant that her servility to Rena is almost insolent. She is afraid of Catherine, but even with her, goes as far as she dares. She is just now excited like the others, but she has no sympathy for Rena's ruptures and looks contemptuously at the ecstasies of the two before she addresses them.
Um,
Jui,
if you please, madam, can you hear me? I'm so If you please, madam, all the windows are to be closed and the shutters made fast. They say there might be shooting in the streets.
Rena and Catherine rise together alarmed.
The Soviets are being chased right back through the past, and they say they will run into the town. Our cavalry will run after them, and our people will be ready for them, you may be sure, now that they are running away.
She goes out on the balcony and pulls the outside shutters to, then steps back into the room.
I wish our people were not so cruel. What glory is there in killing wretched fugitives?
Catherine, businesslike, her housekeeping instincts aroused.
I must see that everything is safe downstairs.
Rena to Louka.
Leave the shutters so that I can just close them if I hear any noise.
Catherine, authoritatively, turning on her way to the.
Oh no, dear, you must keep them fastened. You would be sure to drop off to sleep and leave them open. Make them fast, Louka.
Yes, madam.
She fastens them.
Don't be anxious about me. The moment I hear a shot, I shall blow out the candles and roll myself up in bed with my ears well covered.
Quite the wisest thing you can do, my love. Good night.
Good night.
They kiss one another, and Raina's emotion comes back for a moment.
Wish me joy of the happiest night of my life. If only there are no fugitives.
Go to bed, dear, and don't think of them.
She goes out. Luca secretly to Raina.
If you'd like the shutters open, just give them a push like this.
She pushes them. They open. She pulls them to again.
One of them ought to be bolted at the bottom, but the bolt's gone.
Raina, with dignity, reproving her.
Thanks, Louka, but we must do what we are told.
Luca makes a grimace.
Good night.
Good night.
Raina, left alone, goes to the chest of drawers and adores the portrait there with feelings that are beyond all expression. She does not kiss it or press it to her breast or shew it any mark of bodily affection, but she takes it in her hands and elevates it like a priestess. Raina, looking up at the picture with worship.
Oh, I shall never be unworthy of you anymore, my hero. Never, never, never.
She replaces it reverently and selects a novel from the little pile of books. She turns over the leaves dreamily, finds her page, turns the book inside out at it, and then, with a happy sigh, gets into bed and prepares to read herself to sleep. But before abandoning herself to fiction, she raises her eyes once more, thinking of the blessed reality, and murmurs,
My hero.
My.
My hero.
A distant shot breaks the quiet of the night outside. She starts, listening. Two more shots, much nearer, follow, startling her so that she scrambles out of bed and hastily blows out the candle on the chest of drawers. Then, putting her fingers in her ear, she runs to the dressing table and blows out the light there and hurries back to bed. Nothing is visible but the glimmer of the light in the pierced ball before the image. And this is seen through the slits at the open of the sash. The firing breaks. There is a startling fusillade quite close at hand, whilst it is still pulled open from without, and for an instant the rectangle of snowy starlight flashes out with the figure of a man in black upon it. Shut immediately, and the silence is now broken by the sound of panting. Then there is a scrape, and the flame of a match is seen in the middle of the room. Raina crouching on the bed.
Who's there?
The match is out instantly.
Who's there? Who is that?
A man's voice in the darkness, subduedly but threateningly.
Shh. Don't call out or you'll be shot. Be good and no harm will happen to you.
She is heard leaving her bed and making for the door.
Take care. There's no use in trying to run away. Remember, if you raise your voice, my pistol will go off. Strike a light and let me see you. Do you hear?
Another moment of silence and darkness. Then she is heard retreating to the dressing table. Lights the candle, and the mystery is a man of about 35 in a deplorable plight, bespattered with mud and blood and snow, his belt and the strap of his revolver case keeping together the torn ruins of the blue coat offering art. As far as the candlelight and his unwashed, unkempt condition make it possible to judge, man of middling stature and undistinguished appearance, with strong neck and looking head, covered with short, clear blue eyes, and good brows and mouth. A hopeless, prosaic nose, like that of a strong-minded baby, trim soldier-like carriage, an energetic manner, with all his wits about him, in spite of his desperate predicament. Even with a sense of without, however, the least intention of trifling with it or throwing away a chance. He reckons up what he can guess about Raina, her age, her social position, her character, the extent to which she and continues more politely but still determinedly.
Excuse my disturbing you, but you recognize my uniform, Serbian. If I'm caught, I shall be killed. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Well, I don't intend to get killed if I can help it. Do you understand that?
He
I
locks
suppose
the
not.
door with a snap.
Oh, sorry.
She draws herself superbly and looks him straight in the face with emphasis.
Some soldiers, I know, are afraid of death.
All of them, dear lady, all of them, believe me. It is our duty to live as long as we can and kill as many of the enemy as we can. Now, if you raise an alarm,
You will shoot me. How do you know that I'm afraid to die?
ah, but suppose I don't shoot you, what will happen then? Why, a lot of your cavalry, the greatest blackguards in your army, will burst into this pretty room of yours and slaughter me here like a pig. For I'll fight like a demon. They shan't get me into the street to amuse themselves with. I know what they are. Are you prepared to receive that sort of company in your present undress?
Rena, thoroughly conscious of her nightgown, instinctively shrinks and gathers it more closely about her. He watches her and adds pitilessly.
It's rather scanty, eh?
She turns to the ottoman. He raises his pistol instantly and cries.
Stop! Where are you going?
Only to get my cloak.
A good idea. No, I'll keep the cloak. And you will take care that nobody comes in and sees you without it. This is a better weapon than the pistol.
He throws the pistol down on the ottoman.
It is not the weapon of a gentleman.
It's good enough for a man with only you to stand between him and death.
As they look at one another for a moment, Rena hardly able to believe that even a Serbian officer can be so cynically and selfishly unchivalrous. They are startled by a sharp fusillade in the street. The chill of imminent death hushes the man's voice as he adds,
Do you hear? If you're going to bring those scoundrels in on me, you shall receive them as you are.
Rena meets his eye with unflinching scorn. Suddenly he starts listening. There is a step outside. Someone tries the door and then knocks hurriedly and urgently at it. Rena looks at the man breathless. He throws up his head with the gesture of a man who sees that it is all over with him, and dropping the manner which he has been assuming to intimidate her, flings the cloak to her, exclaiming sincerely and kindly.
No use. I'm done for. Quick, wrap yourself up. They're coming.
Rena, catching the cloak eagerly,
Oh, thank you.
she wraps herself up with great relief. And turns to the Louka outside knocking.
My lady, my lady, get up quick and open the door.
What will you do?
Never mind. Keep out of the way. It will not last long.
I'll help you. Hide yourself. Oh, hide yourself. Quick, behind the curtain.
She seizes him by a torn strip of his sleeve and pulls him towards the window.
There's just half a chance if you keep your head. Remember, 9 soldiers out of 10 are born fools.
He hides behind the curtain, looking out for a moment to say,
If they find me, I promise you a fight, a devil of a fight.
he disappears. Raina takes off the cloak and throws it across the foot of the bed. Then, with a sleepy, disturbed air, she opens the door. Louka enters excitedly.
A man has been seen climbing up the water pipe to your balcony. A Serbian. The soldiers want to search for him, and they're so wild and drunk and furious. My lady says you have to dress at once.
As if annoyed at being disturbed, Raina,
They shall not reach here. Why have they been let in?
Catherine coming in hastily.
Raina, darling, are you safe? Have you seen anyone or heard anything?
I heard the shooting. Surely the soldiers would not dare come in here.
I found a Russian officer. Thank heaven. He knows Sergius. Sir, will you come?
Speaking through the door to someone outside.
Sir, will you come in now? My daughter is ready.
A young Russian officer in Bulgarian uniform enters, sword in hand. The officer, with soft feline politeness and stiff military carriage.
Good evening, gracious lady. I'm sorry to intrude, but there's a fugitive hiding on the balcony. Will you and the gracious lady, your mother, please withdraw whilst we search?
Nonsense, sir. You can see that there is no one on the balcony.
She throws the shutters wide open and stands with her back to the curtain where the man is hiding, pointing to the moonlit balcony. A couple of shots are fired right under the window, and a bullet shatters the glass opposite Rena, who winks and gasps but stands her ground, while Catherine screams and the officer rushes to the balcony. The officer, on the balcony, shouting savagely down the street.
Cease firing there, you fools, do you hear? Cease firing, damn you!
He glares down a moment, then turns to Rena, trying to resume his polite manners.
Could anyone have gotten in without your knowledge? Were you asleep?
No, I have not been to bed.
The officer, impatiently coming back into the room.
Your neighbors have their heads full of runaway Servians that they see them everywhere. Gracious lady, 1,000 pardons. Good night.
Military bow, which Rena returns coldly. Another to Catherine, who follows him out. Rena closes the shutters. She turns and sees Louka, who has been watching the scene curiously.
Don't leave my mother, Louka, whilst the soldiers are here.
Louka glances at Rena, at the ottoman, at the curtain, then pushes her lips secretively, laughs to herself, and goes out. Rena follows her to the door, shuts it behind her with a slam, and locks it violently. The man immediately steps out from behind the curtain, sheathing his saber, and dismissing the danger from his mind in a businesslike way.
A narrow shave, but a miss is as good as a mile. Dear young lady, your servant until death. I wish for your sake I had joined the Bulgarian army instead of the Serbian. I'm not a native Serbian.
No, you are one of the Austrians who set the Servians on to rob us of our national liberty and who officer the army many for them. We hate them.
Austrian? Not I. Don't hate me, dear young lady. I'm only a Swiss, fighting merely as a professional soldier. I joined Serbia because it was nearest to me. Be generous. You've beaten us hollow.
Have I not been generous?
Noble, heroic. But I'm not saved yet. This particular rush will soon pass through, and the pursuit will go on night by fits and starts. I must take my chance to get off during a quiet interval. You don't mind my waiting just a minute or two, do you?
Oh no. I'm sorry you will have to go into danger again.
Motioning towards ottoman.
Won't you sit?
She breaks off with an irrepressible cry of alarm as she catches sight of the pistol. The man, all nerves, shies like a frightened horse.
Don't frighten me like that. What is it?
Your pistol! It was staring that officer in the face the whole time. What an escape.
Oh, is that all?
Rena, staring at him rather superciliously, conceding a poorer and poorer opinion of him, and feeling proportionately more and more at her ease with him.
I'm sorry I frightened you.
She takes up the pistol and hands it to him.
Pray take it to protect yourself against me.
No use, dear young lady. There's nothing in it. It's not loaded.
He makes a grimace at it and drops it disparagingly into his revolver case.
Loaded by all means.
I've no ammunition. What use are cartridges in battle? I always carry chocolate instead. And I finished the last cake of that yesterday.
Rena, outraged in her most cherished ideals of manhood.
Chocolate? Do you stuff your pockets with sweets like a schoolboy, even in the field?
Yes, isn't it contemptible?
Rena stares at him, unable to utter her feelings. Then she sails away scornfully to the chest of drawers and returns with the box of confectionery in hand.
Allow me. I'm sorry I have eaten them all except these.
She offers him the box.
You're an angel. Creams? Delicious.
He looks anxiously to see whether there are any more. There are none. He accepts the inevitable with pathetic good humor and says, with grateful emotion,
Bless you, dear lady. You can always tell an old soldier by the inside of his holsters and cartridge boxes. The young ones carry pistols and cartridges. The old ones grub. Thank you.
he hands back the box. She snatches it contemptuously from him and throws it away. This impatient action is so sudden that he shies again.
Don't do things so suddenly, gracious lady. Don't revenge yourself because I frightened you just now.
Frighten me. Do you know, sir, that though I am only a woman, I think I am at heart as brave as you.
I should think so. You haven't been under fire for 3 days as I have. I can stand 2 days without showing as much, but no man can stand 3 days. I'm as nervous as a mouse. Would you like to see me cry?
No.
If you would, all you have to do is to scold. Sorry, all you have to do is to scold me just as if I were a little boy and you my nurse. If I were in camp now, they'd play all sorts of tricks on me.
I'm sorry. I won't scold you.
Touched by the sympathy in her tone, he raises his head and looks gratefully at her. She immediately draws back and stares stiffly.
You must excuse me. Our soldiers are not like that.
Oh, yes, they are. There are only two sorts of soldiers, old ones and young ones. I've served 14 years. Half of your fellows never smelled powder before. Why? How is it that you've just beaten us? Sheer ignorance of the art of war, nothing else. I never saw anything so unprofessional.
Oh, was it unprofessional to beat you?
Well, come. Is it professional to throw a regiment of cavalry on a battery of machine guns? With the dead certainty that if the guns go off, not a horse or man will ever get within 50 yards of the fire. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it.
Rena, eagerly turning to him, as all her enthusiasm and her dream of glory rush back to her.
Did you see the great cavalry charge? Oh, tell me about it. Describe it to me.
You never saw a cavalry charge, did you?
How could I?
Ah, perhaps not, of course. Well, it's a funny sight. It's like slinging a handful of peas against a window pane. First one comes, then two or three close behind him, and then all the rest in a lump.
Rena, her eyes dilating as she raises her clasped hands ecstatically.
Yes, the first one, the bravest of the brave.
Hmm. You should see the poor devil pulling at his horse.
Why should he pull at his horse?
It's running away with him, of course. Do you suppose the fellow wants to get there before the others and be killed? Then they all come. You can tell the young ones by their wildness and their slashing. The old ones come bunched up under the number one guard. They know that they are mere projectiles and that it's no use trying to fight. The wounds are mostly broken knees from the horses cannoning together.
Ugh, but I don't believe the first man is a coward. I believe he's a hero.
That's what you'd have said if you'd seen the first man in the charge today.
Ah, I knew it. Tell me. Tell me about him.
He did it like an operatic tenor, a regular handsome fellow, with flashing eyes and lovely moustache, shouting a war cry and charging like Don Quixote at the windmills. We nearly burst with laughter at him. But when the sergeant ran up as white as a sheet and told us they'd sent us the wrong cartridges and that we couldn't fire a shot for the next 10 minutes, we laughed at the other side of our mouths. I never felt so sick in my life, though I've been in one or two very tight places. And I hadn't even a revolver cartridge, nothing but chocolate. We'd no bayonets, nothing. Of course, they just cut us into bits. And there was Don Quixote flourishing like a drum major, thinking he'd done the cleverest thing ever known, whereas he ought to be court martialed for it. Of all the fools ever let loose on a field of battle, that man must be the very maddest. He and his regiment simply committed suicide. Only the pistol missed fire. That's all.
Rena deeply wounded, but steadfastly loyal to her ideals.
Indeed. Would you know him again if you saw him?
Shall I ever forget him?
She again goes to the chest of drawers. He watches her with a vague hope that she may have something else for him to eat. She takes the portrait from its stand and brings it to him.
That is a photograph of the gentleman, the patriot and hero to whom I am betrothed.
I'm really very sorry. Was it fair to lead me on? Yes, that's him. Not a doubt of it.
Why do you laugh?
I didn't laugh, I assure you. At least, I didn't mean to. But when I think of him charging the windmills and thinking he was doing the finest thing,
Give me back the portrait, sir.
of course, certainly, I'm really very sorry.
She deliberately kisses it and looks him straight before returning to the chest of drawers. He follows her, apologizing.
Perhaps I'm quite charmed, No doubt I am. Most likely he had got the wind of the cartridge business somehow, and he knew it was a safe job.
That is to say, he was a pretender and a coward. You did not dare say that before.
It's no use, dear lady. I can't make you see it from the professional point of view.
As he turns away to get back to the ottoman, the firing begins in the distance. Rena sternly as she sees him listening to the shots.
So much the better for you.
How?
You are my enemy and you are at my mercy. What would I do if I were a professional soldier?
Ah, true, dear young lady. You're always right. I know how good you have been to me. To my last hour, I shall remember those 3 chocolate creams. It was unsoldierly, but it was angelic.
Thank you. And now I will do a soldierly thing. You cannot stay here after what you have just said about my future husband. But I will go out to the balcony and see whether it is safe for you to climb down into the street.
Down
She
that
turns
water.
to the window.
Stop! Wait, I can't. I daren't. The very thought of it makes me giddy. I came up it fast enough with death behind me. But to face it now in cold blood? It's no use. I give up. I'm beaten. Give the alarm.
He drops his head in his hands in the deepest dejection.
Come, don't be disheartened.
She stoops over him, almost maternally. He shakes his head.
Oh, you are a very poor soldier, a chocolate cream soldier. Come, cheer up. It takes less courage to climb down than to face capture. Remember that.
No, capture only means death. And Death is sleep. Oh, sleep, sleep, sleep. Undisturbed sleep. Sliding down the pipe means doing something, exerting myself, thinking. Death 10 times over fast. First.
Are you so
Then,
sleepy as that?
Raina. So,
I've had no 2 hours of undisturbed sleep since the war began. I'm on the staff. You don't know what that means. I haven't closed my eyes for 36 hours.
But what am I to do with you?
Of course, I must do something.
he shakes himself, pulls himself together, and speaks with rallied vigor and courage.
You see, sleep or no sleep, hunger or no hunger, tired or not tired, you can always do a thing when you know it must be done. Well, that pipe must be got down. Do you hear that? You chocolate cream soldier.
But if you fall,
I shall sleep as if the stones were a feather bed. Goodbye.
He, he makes boldly for the window, and his hand is on the shutter when there is terrible burst of firing in the street beneath.
stop.
She catches him by the shoulder and turns him quite round.
They'll kill you.
Never mind. This sort of thing is all in my day's work. I'm bound to take my chance. Now do what I tell you. Put out the candles so that they shan't see the light when I open the shutters. And keep away from the window, whatever you do. If they see me, they're sure to have a shot at me.
They're sure to see you. It's bright moonlight. I'll save you. Oh, how can you be so indifferent? You want me to save you, don't you?
I really don't want to be troublesome. I'm not
She
indifferent,
shakes
dear
him.
young lady, I assure you. But how is it to be done?
Come away from the window, please.
She coaxes him back to the middle of the room. He submits humbly. She releases him and addresses him patronizingly.
Now listen. You must trust to our hospitality. You do not yet know whose house you are. I am a Petkoff.
What's that?
I mean that I belong to the family of the Petkoffs, the richest and the best known in our country.
Oh, yes, of course. I beg your pardon. The Petkoffs, to be sure. How stupid of me.
You know you never heard of them until this minute. How can you stoop to pretend?
Forgive me. I'm too tired to think. And the change of subject is too much for me. Don't scold me.
I forgot. It might make you cry.
He nods quite seriously. She pouts and then resumes her patronizing tone.
I must tell you that my father holds the highest command of any Bulgarian in our army. He is a major.
A major? Bless me. Think of that.
You showed great ignorance in thinking that it was necessary to climb up to the balcony because ours is the only private house that has 2 rows of windows. There is a flight of stairs inside to get up and down by.
Stairs. How grand. You live in great luxury indeed, dear young lady.
Do you know what a library is?
A library? A room full of books?
Yes, we have one, the only one in Bulgaria.
Actually, a real library. I should like to see that.
I tell you these things to show you that you are not in the house of ignorant country folk who would kill you the moment they saw your Serbian uniform, but among civilized people. We go to Bucharest every year for the opera season, and I have spent a whole month in Vienna.
I saw that, dear young lady. I saw at once that you knew the world.
Have you ever seen the opera of Ernani?
Is that the one with the devil in it in red velvet and a soldier's chorus?
No.
Then I don't know it.
I thought you might have remembered the great scene where Ernani, flying from his foes just as you are tonight, takes refuge in the castle of his bitterest enemy, an old Castilian noble. The noble refuses to give him up. His guest is sacred to him.
Have you people got that notion?
My mother and I can understand that notion, as you call it. And if instead threatening me with your pistol as you did, you had simply thrown yourself as a fugitive on our hospitality, you would have been safe as in your father's house.
Quite sure?
Oh, it is useless to try and make you understand.
Don't be angry. You see how awkward it would be for me if there was any mistake. My father is a very hospitable man. He keeps 6 hotels, but I couldn't trust him as far as that. What about your father?
He's away at Slivencia, fighting for his country. I answer for your safety. There's my hand in pledge of it. Will that reassure you?
Better not touch my hand, dear young lady. I must have a wash first.
That is very nice of you. I see that you are a gentleman.
Eh,
You must not think I'm surprised. Bulgarians of really good standing, people in our position, wash their hands nearly every day. But I appreciate your delicacy. You may take my hand.
thanks, gracious young lady. I feel safe at last. And now, would you mind breaking the news to your mother? I had better not stay here secretly longer than is necessary.
If you will be so good as to keep perfectly still whilst I'm away.
Certainly.
He sits
Jan-
down on the ottoman. Raina goes to the bed and wraps herself in the fur cloak. His eyes close. She goes to the door, but on turning for a last look at him, sees that he is dropping off to sleep.
You're not going to sleep, are you?
eh?
He
Falling
murmurs
asleep?
inarticulately. She runs to him and shakes him.
Do you hear? Wake up. You're falling asleep.
Huh? Falling asleep? Oh no, not the least in the world. I was only thinking. It's alright. I'm wide awake.
Will you please stand up while I'm away? All the time, mind.
Certainly, certainly. You may depend on me.
Raina looks doubtfully at him. He smiles foolishly. She goes reluctantly, turning again at the door and almost catching him in the act of yawning. She goes out.
Sleep, 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 sleep.
The words trail off into a murmur. He wakes again with a shock on the point of falling.
Where am I? That's what I want to know. Where am I? Must keep awake. Nothing keeps me awake except danger. Remember that. Danger, danger, danger. Where's danger? Must find it. What am I looking for? Sleep? Danger? Don't know. Ah, yes. Now I know. All right now. I'm going to bed. But not to sleep. Be sure not to sleep because of danger. Not to lie down either. Only sit down. Ah, ah.
With a happy sigh, he sinks back at full length, lifts his boot into the bed with a final effort, and falls fast asleep instantly. Catherine comes in, followed by Rana.
He's
Rana looking at
gone.
the ottoman.
Yeah, he's gone. I left him here.
Here? Then he must have climbed down from the.
Oh,
Well, he's fast asleep. The brute.
shh.
Sir? Sir? Sir?
Don't, Mama. The poor dear is worn out. Let him sleep.
Poor dear. Raina?
She looks sternly at her daughter. The man sleeps profoundly.